Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 420.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you're here today because you've heard me say before that one of the great things about real estate is that everybody, yes, that means you, everybody needs a place to live, work, play, or lay. Because that's really how real estate works. Live, work, play, or lay. You're going to do one of those things today, live, work, play, or lay. And it's going to be on real estate. Real estate is involved nearly everywhere you go. Well, what's really cool about industries is that over time, industries change. How you use a piece of real estate absolutely changes as the workplace changes, as your family needs change, as you change the desire for what you call entertainment. And I have with me today some who might call the Godfather, if you will, of a particular industry. And we're talking about the service office industry. You're like, what is that? Well, here's the thing. You may have heard of things like Coworking or being able to figure out other places to go to work, because as you are going out there to find a place to work and build your business, you're looking for some, because you no longer have an office, right? You're like, oh, I'm on my own now. Where do I go? What do I do? Well, I have with me today the guy who can help you not only know where to go, but what to do, but make sure that you're not doing it alone. I have with me none other than Frank Cottle. He's the CEO of Alliance Business Group. And here's the thing. They're in 52 countries, 700 locations, been doing this for 37 years. That's code for there's probably a location right down the street from you and you didn't even know it, but you'll know it now. But more importantly than that, think about your business needs. Think about the fact that your business is changing and where we all work from is changing. And he's here to make sure not only is the company meeting the need, but he understands what you and I need. But most importantly, I think we're going to learn a lot about business from him. So help me welcome Frank Cottle. Frank, you there?
I sure am, Jay. Thank you very much.
I'm glad that you are here, sir. Thank you for doing what you have done for so long.
Well, it's been a lot very challenging and a lot of exciting moments along the way. But when you deal with change, you know, that's always the way it should be.
And no doubt. So this being the first time that you're here, I want to ask you the same question I tend to ask everybody the first time that they're here. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. I tend to think of today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes, you know, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, if you will. And I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. Chief among them, as an entrepreneur, I can occasionally envision myself maybe with capes and tights and whatnot, saving people using our products and services. But also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. For example, you think about Spider-Man. There was a time where he was just a kid going to school, taking some photos, trying to get some good grades, you know, doing his thing. Then one day something happens to him. He gets bit by a spider and suddenly realizes, I have something worthwhile sharing. Now, am I going to use it for good or evil? And in his case, obviously, he chooses good. So my question to you is as follows. Before, you know, the service office industry even existed, before Alliance was even around, before you and all of your real estate endeavors and the hundreds of units that you've owned in the past and all of these things, before all of that, what we want to know is, who is Frank Cottle?
Oh, gosh, I'm from Newport Beach, California, so I'm just a local surfer made good. I think I was asked to leave my first college, or asked not to come back, I guess. So I fall into that dropout category. And started my life just before I got married as a commercial diver, doing some interesting work. And you never want to be a commercial diver doing what they call interesting work. And I did that for a couple of years, and then moved on to the yachting industry, raced large sailboats and built and brokered large yachts around the world for about a decade. And during that time, I met, I was very fortunate. I was a 20-something and able to live with my client base, which were very, very, very successful and wealthy. And understanding their lifestyle and what they kind of had done right and wrong, I woke up one day in the brokerage and I said, damn, I'll never be an owner as long as I'm a broker. And that epiphany caused me to sell out of that company, to move on from that company and start my own company, which we did in 1979. And that's what we decided we want to be in the commercial real estate business. And I liked land banking. So our first venture in this industry, really, we built our own buildings and then plugged business centers into those buildings. And we did that for about 10 years, between 80 and 90, and built a large number of projects across the southwestern United States. And that's where we learned how to run business centers, serviced offices, co-working centers, we call them today, all variety of different types of real estate. And I think the high-level issue is we wanted to change the way people worked. Yeah. We didn't think the old model made a lot of sense.
Hold on. You said you didn't think the old model made a lot of sense, and when was this?
Yeah. This was like 1979, 1980.
Okay. I mean, I'm saying when you say old model, I know some people listening.
They weren't born then. I know.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, if you think about it, let's use a very common term. We've all heard the term landlord. How old is that? Landlord.
Medieval times.
Okay. Yeah. Like think of serfs and fiefdoms and things of that nature. And when you look at the real estate industry and the way people use real estate industry, have you ever walked into a large corporate office somewhere and you look around and you see big offices? They're very nice. How many of those offices are actually empty, where the person's not at their desk?
If they're the sales office, I hope they are all empty.
You hope they're all empty. So we came up with the concept, and this wasn't revolutionary at the time. It was maybe cutting edge, but you remember everybody used to talk about the big shift in manufacturing is going to be just-in-time inventory. And today, in just-in-time services, Amazon's a perfect expression of that concept. I needed dog food yesterday. I ordered it yesterday. It arrived today. Amazon was wonderful. Just in time. Well, we decided that real estate should be delivered just in time with that same level of flexibility as inventory in the manufacturing process was starting to be done in the 80s as well. So we came up with the process by which to do that. And today that's the serviced office industry, which includes classic business centers, co-working centers, incubators, accelerators, logistics centers, media centers, all variety of shared facilities that combine people, place, and technology into a single bundled service, people, place, and technology, that's delivered with a highly flexible service agreement. Throw that old lease out. Get rid of it. Do you know what you're going to be doing 5 years from now? 10 years from now?
Let's go with tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay. Then I don't think you want to sign a 10-year lease.
Right.
It doesn't make sense for businesses anymore. Do you know who you're going to employ tomorrow?
No.
Okay. Contracting, gig economy, all these things that are huge trending waves. that's the way we're going in the future. And we happen to be lucky enough to be part of the industry that created the just-in-time structure that really allows things like the gig economy to occur.
Yeah, and you know what I mean, that without that, I don't know that companies like ourselves would even functionally be around, because there are some people that I have working for me that I've physically never met. And what's amazing to me right now is how you saw that back then being 1980, 80s, anything. Like, how do you see that? How did you have that vision? Because that's amazing to me right now, and I'm trying to wrap my brain around it, and it's not getting there yet.
Well, we weren't the first. I mean, you think of things that have been shared. We could find examples as we looked back of shared economies and shared structures. Think of the guilds in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance.
Okay.
Think of a hospital. Where you've got all sorts of equipment, or a clinic where different doctors are sharing different pieces of equipment in different specialized rooms just when they need them for a specific appointment. You've got any variety of structures where there's a combination of services provided, and everybody doesn't just have to provide it on their own. So I don't think the concept of sharing or the concept of utilizing things as needed was new. I think the application of it towards the business, the way we and many, many other very successful companies have created it, though, has had a huge impact. And other things have had an equally huge impact on us, technology. What allows you to work independently like you do? It's that funny, smart instrument you carry around in your pocket. There's all sorts of things like that pop up.
But hold on. That little instrument wasn't in my pocket in 1980. I mean, what I'm saying is I hear what you're saying, but I think there's a certain amount of vision. There's a certain amount of I'm like, come on, man. I mean, those things weren't there. It wasn't as easy to go, yeah, of course.
Actually, in our first center, you'll laugh at this. We had a number of financial institutions in one of our very first centers. We actually had a teletype. And I don't think anybody today's even seen a teletype.
No.
But things like faxes were revolutionary technology back then.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that does sound funny.
But it really is. But we actually, in our first project, or our second project, I guess it was our second project, we actually put together a technology package with Bell Labs. And this is back when Bell Labs actually existed, guys in white coats and plastic pocket protectors and slide rules and all that sort of thing. And we actually built the inside of one of our centers. We built the first incidence of simultaneous voice and data transmission over 4-pair twisted cable. And we had everything automated to touch screen instruments that were both voice and data instruments running off of a large mini computer tied to a digital phone switch. We had one of the first big digital phone switching systems, an AT&T System 85. And we tied it together with what's called a MUX box, which was a custom built piece, magic black box in the middle. So we were doing that kind of stuff. We were the test bed for GTE's smart parks, what they called at the times, and we were their testing partner for ISDN.
Okay. So, all right. Then we have to have a completely different conversation here, because what you're really saying, because I know a number of entrepreneurs feel this way, meaning that they feel like they're the first and they're taking lots of hits, and they're like trying to develop something new that very few people have the vision or sight to see, and they're trying to get POC, proof of concept, out there, and you have got to have had to deal with those challenges. There's no way you didn't.
We did. Of course we did. Of course we did. We made more mistakes than probably anybody on the planet, but we survived them. And
yeah.
I think if you're an entrepreneur If you're in business today, as in any business today, whether you're a startup or whether you're trying to scale, it really doesn't matter. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you've just got to survive them. And
okay, so this is not the encouragement portion of the talk right now. Okay, got it. So got it. But because when you say, first of all, a lot of people have a negative neuroassociation or just the idea of a mistake. I mean, our education system doesn't reward those who make mistakes, if you get my meaning. So, but you're literally saying go make a mistake and hold on for dear life. That's what that's what I'm hearing.
I really think so. It's like, I guess it's like if you're gambling.
Okay.
If you're on a run and it's running good, well, keep it running. But if you do something and it turns bad, get out real fast. Get out real fast. Most people know they're making a mistake, or they think they might be making a mistake, or they're afraid they've made a mistake, and they worry about it, and they ponder it, and they try and fix it in little incremental pieces. They should just get out.
Well, but there's also the person who's worried about, they haven't even done anything, and they're so concerned about making a mistake that they don't start.
Well, that's the person we're going to hire.
Ah, got it.
Okay. And I hate to be as direct as that, but the reality is some people are entrepreneurs and some people are not. There's always someone that blazes the trail. There's always someone that has not necessarily the intellect or the vision, but the will to do something. And oftentimes having the will to do it is as important, maybe more important, because you're going to run into problems, than having the idea.
Interesting. So the idea then, it didn't bother you, quote unquote, that there wasn't this proven path already laid down? Because there's a number of people that I run into today who are wanting to break into entrepreneurship. And it's kind of, a lot of our training products are centered around helping them do that. But they're always looking for the smooth road to build their thing. And it's sometimes it feels like I'm like trying to tell them the road, that's kind of how it is. There isn't a smooth road ahead. And that's kind of what I hear you saying. Hey guys, thanks for listening as always, and I'm glad that you continue to support with each and every download and subscription and share. One of the things that I want to ask you though is, where are you listening to me from right now? I know some of you, maybe you're on a treadmill, maybe you're washing dishes, maybe you're walking that dog, and some of you are actually in a vehicle driving right now. One of the fun things that you can do, get some of your time back, is begin to living a car-free existence. But even then, it can be a little complicated. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to go over to Zipcar. Go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary. It's a way that I am able to still go get a car just for a few hours, very, very simply, so that if I have a lot of errands to run and sheets to drop off and running to the short-term rentals, or if I just want to go for a long trip up to LA and back, etc., I can rent a car for a very, very short period of time. And the cool part is I don't even have to pay for any gas. Again, go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary.
Well, it's not always going to be smooth. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart. So sometimes you will find that the road is smooth, but don't expect it's always going to be smooth. I mean, just look at, since we've started this company in this industry, think of the number of political changes, recessions, geopolitical changes that have gone on.
Right.
Everything from gas crises to flip flops in government structures to I don't know how many recession periods and inflationary periods. Oh
my God, that's right. Sorry, when you said that, I was like,
the 80s.
Oh yeah, exactly. When you said 80, I was like, oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, we're looking at 13-14% inflation at different times, and some craziness going on. So, you just have to react and know your game and play your game, and not worry about what others are doing. You just play your own game, I think, is the most important thing.
So how do we, I mean, impart some wisdom here? Because I know that moment when you receive that news or you see that news headline or you feel like the phrase today in our community that I keep hearing is regulatory issues. I'm like, every business has regulatory issues. You got to deal with it. But how do you deal with it is really my question.
Well, regulatory issues are a whole different matter because we're dealing in a lot of different jurisdictions.
Yes, you are.
A lot of different countries, and
right.
and in some countries, literally, it's illegal to sell a virtual office. So
wow.
you have to go around and look at different models and figure out culturally what works in that country. But I think most of your listenership isn't sitting in Russia or Central Africa or the Middle East right now, so just sticking with the U.S.
Yes, for the moment,
North America, for the moment. And I think that the old Chinese symbol, for crisis is opportunity, or there's some saying like that. And I think it's just know your own business. And to me, people say, well, you've been around. What do you think? How would you describe yourself? And what I would really say and do say to others is that I hope I'm the best student of our industry. Okay. Every day you have to dedicate your time to really learning about your industry, not pitching your deal, but learning about your industry, gaining knowledge about what you want to do, because that knowledge becomes invaluable in your decision making. Because if you have that knowledge, you can trust your gut, because you'll do things instinctively. And you'll know when to get out of a transaction, when to move into a transaction, when to adjust to technology, who's the right person to hire. All these things will become instinctive to you because of the knowledge you've acquired.
Yeah, I totally get that. So talk to us a little bit. How do you go from, what was it? I think the last thing we were talking about, you commercial diver, yachting, racing, then you started building. But how do you go from building and to alliances in the current business model? Like, are you guys still building, or are you doing something different?
Well, yes, we are still building on a limited basis. We mostly shifted our business plan. We went from building buildings, and we sold that portfolio in 90, to developing conventional business centers between 90 and 2000. And we built quite a number of projects across North America. And we sold that portfolio in 2000, right at the height of the .com era. So it was good timing. Again, better lucky than smart sometimes. And the reason I wanted to sell our projects was that I didn't like the business model anymore. I wanted to get rid of the balance sheet issues of lease liabilities. And I wanted to change the model to a technology model. I felt that was I learned a lot during the .com era, and we got lucky with a couple companies we invested and acquired. And so basically, I wanted to change the business model, and so we sold the portfolio, and then we built a network of locations that runs very much like Best Western Hotels. We run the back end of everything, and they run the front end, the individual network operators. And that gave us inventory, because the model that I was going after was the beginnings of the models that I saw in the late 90s, early 2000 eras in the travel industry. And I started looking at things like Expedia, and I started looking at things like Travelocity, and some of the beginning companies in the travel industry, they were changing that model. And some friends of ours had a company called Pegasus, which is very involved in the hospitality industry as a technology company. And I wanted to do the same thing with offices. So we built a software as a service company, Alliance Virtual Offices, which is a .com. We built a software as a service company that basically wholesales office space, virtual office space, telephony, live reception services, meeting and reservations and booking services for meeting rooms and conference rooms and things. The same way travel is sold. So today you can log into one of our websites, of which we have a variety of different brands around the world. And you can log into one of our websites like Alliance Virtual Offices, and you can open 10 offices in 10 countries in 10 cities in 10 minutes. I just made that rule of 10 up. So there you go.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Global
good.
expansion at the speed
Global
of light.
expansion. And, every company today, your company, you mentioned you many of your employees are virtual. Almost every company today is international.
Right.
Everybody has an offshore supplier of something and probably an offshore customer of something.
Right.
And so being able to operate globally, being able to hire people where you want, but make sure they're supported as needed, even if they're just contractors, especially if they're contractors, is a wonderful thing to be able to do. And so that we wanted to go into that model of business. And so we built a company that did.
Yeah.
So the original theory that caused me to get into the business, this just-in-time real estate, we took it through the iterations of the analog age into the digital age, and from the digital age into the internet.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. We just continued evolving because we were good students.
Yeah, I see that. And because I've also seen where some industries, if they don't evolve, someone who has been evolving comes to, disrupt them.
Sure.
Is the word that we're familiar with using today.
Sure. Did you ever have an Eagle computer?
I'm sorry.
I mean, come on.
What?
Yeah, exactly. You remember DEC?
Yes, I do.
Hey, do you remember IBM computers? Pretty big for a while, right?
Yes, right.
No, you don't innovate, you die. You don't innovate, you die.
Period. Totally understood. So for those that might not be familiar, talk to us a little bit exactly of how you view, service departments, co-working, the spaces, the things that Alliance actually provides. Because I do believe that there's a number of people who are listening who probably would have need for what it is that you guys do.
Well, all companies do. In fact, our industry, if we look at the customer base of our industry and think of it as a vertical column, and I'll break it up into 20% sections, government is actually a very large client to our industry. You wouldn't think that necessarily, but who needs the most flexibility or should have it? Anybody that has annual budgets, maybe? Yeah, government.
Yeah.
Huge customer of our industry. The global Fortune 1000 or 2000, all large listed companies are massive customers to our industry these days. Why? They're contracting. If you looked at an annual report, say Cisco, 5 years ago, they'd say, we made this much revenue and had this much profit, and we had 300,000 employees, whatever it would say.
Wow.
Well, this year it might say, we made this much profit and revenue, and we have a workforce of 300,000.
I see the difference.
Workforce.
Right.
Okay. The difference is the 20 to 40% of the people that work for that company are now contractors.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have permanent work, but it's an entirely different new structure of employment, if you will.
Well, it sounds. Go ahead.
And I'm just saying that group is massive in our industry. Legal, accounting, financial service professionals, large. Local entrepreneurial companies or small technology companies, distribution companies, media companies, et cetera. But I said companies. These are people 3, 5, 7 employees.
Right.
And then startups. The true entrepreneurial startups, people that are bootstrapping themselves into a position, trying to form a company, trying to form a staff, trying to find funding. The startups will be another 20% of the industry. So it truly is, today we service anyone that works and every company that generates revenue and government worldwide.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. It's just, it more efficient way of using resources, the limited resources that a company might have, but also you're making the use of the space significantly more efficient. So I get it. I like it. It's just I'm still flabbergasted that you back in 1980, let's do this. That is still amazing to me, no matter what. So at the end of the day, though, the fact remains, you guys have done so. You've been doing it for quite some time, and that's what's impressive. For those that have listened, this far and would like to, find out more about what you guys are up to, what's going to be the best way for them to catch you guys?
Well, probably the best, easiest website to go to open those 10 offices in 10 countries is Alliance Virtual Offices. That's with a plural, offices.com. AllianceVirtualOffices.com. And if you just want to learn about our industry and figure out what's going on, we also manage the industry's largest news and information resource. It's a digital publication called allwork.space. And that will tell people about our industry and how it works and who the movers and shakers are and what's going on. And then anybody that is looking to get some just-in-time real estate at a very, very reasonable costs to be used as needed, go to AllianceVirtualOffices.com.
Got it. Totally appreciate it. Now, one of the things that I want to do right now is I've got a final question for you, and I'm kind of curious to hear your answer, because your decades of experience, multiple industries, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of revenue that you've generated, teams that you've built. I'm really, really interested to hear your answer here. Let's pretend for a moment that someone listening is considering, they're going to put on their, superhero outfit for the first time. They're going to become that entrepreneur. They're standing in front of the superhero outfit store, ready to sign the check and make that happen for themselves. But as often happens when we make decisions like that, they have a companion. Their companion in this case comes in the form of a voice, which often reminds them of, what they can't do, why it won't work. And, oh my gosh, it's going to cost too much. It's never going to happen. And for some people, they're related to that voice. So my question to you is as follows. Let's pretend that they're actually going to do what you suggest, and they're going to do so in the next 24 to 48 hours. What would you suggest that they do?
Boy, that's tough. Pick out a really good superhero outfit. Play the part. Fake it till you make it. All these sorts of things that go along with it. If you have an idea or something you believe in, then there's no reason you shouldn't do it. And there's an old joke, and maybe this isn't quite appropriate, but there's an individual, and he prays up to the heavens, and he says, "Please, let me win the lottery. Let me win the lottery, and I'll be good for the rest of my life, and I'll do good things." And a voice comes down from the heavens and says, "First, you got to buy a ticket."
Right.
And so it comes down to that. Trust your gut. Buy the ticket. There's never a reason not to do something. There's only reasons to do things.
I like that perspective a lot. So I definitely appreciate, again, the things that you and your company stand for, what you're producing, how you are making for many of us our businesses possible so that we can actually execute on our missions and visions. And I thank you for having that vision, being willing to back it with energy, blood, sweat, and tears, as they would say, and also for sharing your knowledge, your insight, and your wisdom here with us today at the Cashflow Diary.
Well, my pleasure, and anything we can ever do to help anyone launch, we're happy to do so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? Well, I think you know. It means go get started. Why? At AllianceVirtualOffices.com, because you've been thinking about this for quite some time. You've been wondering what's the next step. Well, for some of you, you now know what that next step is. It's time to go, because he said it himself. There's never a reason not to do something. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.